let's dive right into the market. So it's apparently this is the lowest condo sales condo launches, condo starts since 2008, I think.
Yeah.
And right now with interest rates where they are, very difficult to make the numbers work. What's happening out there? What are you seeing on the?
Well, it's worse than 2000. I would say I would take it back to down to probably 1998. So that quote was because so prior to 2008 it was good,
right?
So you have to go back to the last time when the numbers were bad, and it's the 90s. This is the last 2.5 years are similar but not as bad to the early 90s, which is Armageddon for real estate. So we're out of it. Like we're now here and we're largely out of it. But to get through this destroyed a lot of businesses.
Right.
Many businesses that you don't even know about how badly they're destroyed. There's many REITs that were commercial REITs, retail REITs, res REITs that are never going to recover.
Yeah.
Never. There's commercial REITs, guys that were billionaires owning these REITs that are not anymore, not even close. And
they're not going to re-billionize.
No, and it's decimated the consumer. It's definitely affected your income stream for sure. Yeah. You've probably had better years in the last couple of years. For us, our income stream comes from my resale office selling resale homes, like the 35 guys. Comes from my construction company building things. We make money building our buildings. We have our own construction company, or I have my own construction company. I have a staging company. I have an investment company. I have the development company. So 60% of our entities made no money,
right,
in the last 2.5 years, and this has been the hardest 2.5 years, I would say, of my career in terms of maintaining a positive attitude every day.
Right.
Because it's nothing like coming to work every day and nothing's fucking happening. The only thing that was happening, which is very positive, I told you earlier, we've got 19 big projects, about $6.5 billion in development coming very soon. And so we've taken the last 2.5 years to get that all rezoned.
Right.
So we've gotten like this, I own this block here, and this is the council meeting away from being rezoned.
Right.
And so that was a lot of work. And every time you rezone something, you add value to to the land. Obviously, this would be more valuable as a development site than as a bunch of warehouses that are rented to tenants, right? Yeah. So all that was really positive. So I would say like my net worth went up, but the cash flow situation for people in the real estate business has not been good.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think that the Bank of Canada, they kept sending me. I've been on some of their policy meetings where they bring in a bunch of Toronto Canadian business people at a table, and they ask everyone to talk about what they do and their business is like and what the Bank of Canada do to make it better and so on. And so I got sent
one thing.
Yeah. Well, now it's pretty simple. It's for Bank of Canada. It's pretty always one. It's always really just the one thing, right? But so they sent me surveys every 2 months. And they say, well, how much is your business down? I'd say minus 100%.
Right.
What do you mean? Well, if our business of developing is selling new condos, we haven't launched a new condo in 2.5 years. So our business is down 100%.
Right.
It's zero. Like we're not selling any new condos. Well, we're not selling them
for CERB
because should have. Yeah. We're not selling any because we're not bringing them to market because they would have just failed over the last 2.5 years.
Right.
So now, the good news is that there's two things that have happened. The first thing is that if you give people shit to eat every day, and that's all they get is just shit, eventually they'll eat the shit and not care.
Right.
Right. And that's what happens with interest rates. If you give people elevated interest rates for a long period of time, that's all they know.
Right.
They have to live their life in that environment. And we've had high interest rates for a fairly sustained period, and people are now learning to live with it. So that's one reason why the market's going to recover regardless, because people if my 5-year rate is 5.85 or 6.2.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I got to buy a house. Yeah. I got a wife. I got 2 kids. I got to move them. My life can't sit on hold for 3 years, right?
Right.
So people are now re-entering the market because they're desensitized. And also some of the people that are entering the market never knew rates at 1.5%.
Right.
They weren't looking then. All they know is rates are 6. That's what they know. So they factor that in terms of their amount of money they want to spend for housing and the amount of house they want to buy, right? And the second thing that's happening is that the economy's wheels have completely fallen off. There's no doubt about it. Not as badly, perhaps, as like the early 90s, because we've had a 10, 12% drop in real estate values. But for sure, it's bad enough now where rates will start falling. If they don't fall in June, they'll fall in July or September. They are going to start falling.
Even if the states don't drop theirs?
We don't need the U.S. to drop rates,
right?
For us to drop rates. What we can't have is we can't have a 2% variance between the U.S. and Canada because our dollar would drop to 50 cents.
Right.
But yes, we can. So according to a bunch of economists that I've personally talked to, 0.75 of a point is fine. And that's likely what's going to happen. We're likely going to get 0.75 of a percentage point ahead of them, meaning we'll drop 0.75 and they'll drop nothing.
Yeah.
Or they'll drop, right? I think the U.S. economy is far worse than they know, right? Because the problem is you can't measure the equities market. The equities market's predicting the future.
Right.
Right. You have to look at the real estate market. You have to look at small businesses. Small business bankruptcies are up dramatically in the United States. They've seen some bad employment numbers the last 2 months. I think finally it's catching up with them. And you can't look at NVIDIA as a measure of the U.S. economy.
Right. Or
you can't look at, Amazon necessarily, because Amazon has a lot of other businesses other than shipping packages. But there's like in the U.S., most of the new jobs are service and government. And it's the same thing in Canada. A lot of our new jobs are service and government, right? So bar jobs.
Like 30 to 40% of new jobs. It's like
and they're not jobs. Those are and part-time jobs aren't jobs. You want jobs that pay well, that people can formulate a career with and ultimately end up buying a home with and doing all those things, forming families and so on. So the good news is we went through a shitty period, but it's now, I can absolutely see it changing. And for that reason, we're launching our first building in 2.5 years on June 10th.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. And by the way, listening to this is giving me hope. This is very exciting. But I want to believe you. I'm still a tiny bit skeptical that there's a bit of catching up to do.
The thing is, like, I like to do what I do. You have to be an optimist. Yeah. Because I get punched in the face every day.
Right.
Every single day, I get punched in the face 3 or 4 times, and I just have to go. I like getting punched in the face. Nothing wrong. That's what my life is.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. I get up smiling. Hit me again. Right. And that's just the nature of. If you want to do big things, you want to take risks in your life, you're going to get punched in the face a lot, and you just have to absorb it and smile about it. So I'm always optimistic anyway, even when things are terrible. I think of the silver lining. But I do have to say this, that the big thing is, and why in the U.S. they're saying higher for longer is because people will adjust their spending to the environment they're in. And they are doing that in the United States. So even if they don't lower interest rates in the United States, the economy will eventually rebound. It's just they'll adjust all of so prices will go up because interest rates are higher. So you're going to get a little bit of inflation there, but the market will find its peaceful place at 5%, Bank of Canada or Bank of US rate, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think they're 5.5 and we're 5. So we've got a 0.5 point to play with anyway.